If you guys remember, I've talked about a lot of times on my channel about back when I was a chuddy little boy. One of my favorite types of conservative content to watch was pretty women telling me how I, as a straight white cisgender young man, was being oppressed by society. There really was nothing that made me or any other dudes that fell into this exact same group feel better than pretty women telling boys who are cis, straight, and white, who are told by society that they have it very good and are very privileged, that they are in fact the oppressed ones. We fucking love that shit. Love that shit. Obviously, I grew out of that. I'm not a conservative anymore. I don't rely on, like, validation of, oh no, don't worry, men are actually the ones being oppressed from, like, pretty women telling me that, like most conservative dudes online do. I don't require that. I grew out of that. However, not many have. And one of the go-to channels these days for that type of content is a YouTuber by the name of Sydney Watson. We've covered her before. She's not exactly a new face around here, so I don't think I need to give her too much of sort of an introduction. But Sydney Watson is a white nationalist, without even a shadow of a doubt. We've covered her videos. She's gone on interviews and talked about her beliefs when it comes to immigration and maintaining, like, white birth rates, maintaining white population, all that kind of stuff. She believes that there's an LGBT agenda out there to groom kids into being, like, molested and by, like, adults and stuff like that. All that kind of shit. All of the right-wing propaganda. And she is a full-on white nationalist. All the telltale signs of white nationalism. Obviously, she wants to keep her YouTube channel, so she hasn't outright stated that she wants to deport all of the non-white people and, create a white ethno-state. She's done all but that, to be fair. However, we're not really here to talk about her, like, Nazi propaganda today. That's not what we're here for today. We're gonna watch some of her culture war propaganda, because every little chuddy white boy needs to hear how oppressed they are and about how Hollywood is oppressing them by having women in the media that they used to like. And today, she's talking about how the failure of woke feminist Hollywood. Fantastic. Now, I've already covered some content about this She-Hulk show, and very much unlike the Lord of the Rings show, I'm not exactly a fan of this She-Hulk show. It has not really caught me. There's been some funny jokes, I guess, and the premise at first was a little interesting, and there's been some cool moments, but overall, the show's not impressed me, and there were definitely some cringy, like, end game, all, like, girl power moment in the final battle tier moments, for sure. Zan hates women, confirmed. Indeed, yes, I do hate women. But, like, with that said, my hatred of women just could not let me enjoy this show. And, of course, me and Sydney Watson are both in the same boat, because we both despise women. Don't let her gender or her appearance fool you. We both hate women equally. So let's go ahead and watch this and have all of our equal hatred of women and feminist Hollywood validated by a pretty girl. Let's watch.
When I'm catcalled in the street, when incompetent men explain
Oh shit, this is the line that made me want to puncture my own lungs so I couldn't breathe anymore.
When I'm catcalled in the street, when incompetent men explain my own area of expertise to me.
Hi, my name is Sydney. Welcome back to hell. And as per usual, before we launch in, today's video is sponsored by Established Titles, which you'd better watch because I tried
Jesus fucking Christ.
really hard. Now, the other day, I was researching for another topic, another video that is still on the way. Do not worry, those of you who think I am not making long-form content anymore, I am. And during my adventure on the internet, I came across an article about She-Hulk, and a particular part of this article set my blood on fire. It explains that while Marvel films lack humanistic character traits such as sex, despite Iron Man being a womanizing millionaire and Thor being a god surrounded by a sea of women,
Iron Man's been dead since 2019 in our real world. Okay? Iron Man's been dead. Okay? Oh my god, what happened to Thor's eye? Someone hasn't seen Thor Ragnarok. Anyway, Thor is like, yeah, surrounded by hot women. That is true. Thor does get surrounded by hot, half-naked women in the new movie as well. That is true. That does happen. That does happen. But I don't know what the fuck that has to do with the argument that Marvel characters don't feel human. Since when are conservatives arguing against a claim that Marvel characters don't feel human? What? Marvel characters have always had a problem with making characters that don't feel real.
These male superheroes don't pay these ladies any mind because the world is in danger, and that is, understandably, more important. However, the primary She-Hulk writer wants to change that narrative. This isn't all just about boys and their need to feel worthy. Now, Jennifer Walters, She-Hulk, has arrived and she wants nothing to do with saving the world. She's ready to be honest about her life with her newfound powers, juggling her career and her dating life.
So, for those that don't know, the whole concept of the show is that she just wants to be a lawyer and to live a normal life, but she's been forced to become a Hulk. And she's become a celebrity for it too, so she can't just, like, stay in her normal form and just be that way, because everyone's like, yo, it's the She-Hulk, yo! This part of the story is one of the few things about the show that I actually, like, didn't mind. I was like, okay, cool, alright, this is fine. Sounds super comic accurate. Oh, we'll see what she's gonna complain about in a moment here.
Is there anything more depressing than dating in your 30s?
What else you gonna do as a Hulk?
Return to my career that I have spent years building.
Ah!
Oh, by the way, the problem she has here is the issue that she has with this is the idea of women not, like, getting married, having kids, and instead being encouraged to, like, pursue a career. She is against that. Like, she has done videos explaining how encouraging girls to pursue careers instead of, like, becoming mothers and, like, housewives is harmful to society and harmful to women. Like, she legitimately just disagrees with the concept of presenting women as anything other than housewives and broodmares in media. Sydney Watson probably has a breeding kink. I'm gonna be real. Most of the women that I see with the conservative tradcon, like, lifestyle that just simp for it super hard, definitely have breeding kinks. Who's seen that one image of the conservative Christians who are, like, with the just bread? Who's seen it? Wait, it was Socialism Done Left posted it on Twitter. Who has it? Listen, we don't kink shame here, okay?
What the fuck? So the male superheroes don't have any time for women because they're busy saving the world. But the female superhero is...
Why am I defending the show to this woman? Why is she so dumb that I have to defend the most basic concept? She's not a superhero. The whole concept of the show is she says, I'm not a superhero and I refuse to become one. That's not happening. I'm living my normal life. She's not a female superhero. She refuses to be one. That's her story arc. Maybe it'll end up with her accepting that role, but for now, as far as I've seen in the show, she is not a superhero and does not want to be one. I'm not a rapper.
Is not interested in saving the world and is instead interested only in her career and dating life. Do you see? Do you see the problem?
You could be an Avenger.
Oh, I'm not a superhero. That is for billionaires and narcissists and adult orphans.
Who still save the world. Unlike you, my friend.
What? Since... Is Sydney Watson like a Marvel simp now? I swear to God, I've watched videos from Sydney Watson where she talks about the MCU being like void drivel and like shit talks it because it was politically advantageous to. But now she's like touting all of the male lead superhero movies as being heroic, manly, masculine, good movies. But this She-Hulk thing is this horrible, like, encouraging women to follow their careers and not to be, like, breeding mares? How dare they?
Friend. It's like writers want people to hate female leads. Whether you've seen it or not, you're probably all aware at this...
I will give her this, okay? At several points watching the show, it felt like they were writing bait for misogynists. It really did. And on one hand, I feel like it's funny, because baiting, like, misogynists into losing their shit over, like, women is cool. But, like, when the bait you're putting out makes me cringe, and I'm, like, a progressive, like, intersectional feminist lefty type, you know that you're, like, dipping into, like, pop feminism salon BuzzFeed levels of cringe. You know, like, There were some lines in this show that hurt to hear, okay? That really hurt to hear.
Stage that She-Hulk is yet another bizarre attempt to shove corporate feminism down everybody's throats. Despite what feminist Hollywood might have you believe, these films, shows, and franchises are not appealing to men.
By the way, when these people do videos taking down any large media that contains progressive messaging in their mind, they refer to it as corporate feminism or corporate wokeness. Now, I want to be clear here. That prefix they're adding to wokeness or feminism or progressivism or representation or whatever is not the qualifier that makes them believe it is bad. The only reason they add that there is because the word corporate, alongside a word that's already scary to a lot of people, makes it sound even scarier. Corporate, scary word. Makes, like, the corporate part makes it sound even scarier than just the scary word to those people, right? So, to be clear, Sydney Watson is against feminism conceptually. She is not in favor of women being feminists. She's not in favor of women having the rights that feminists have, you know, historically advocated for. She is not okay with women being empowered by media. Like, she is not okay with women being empowered to do what they please if it is not in line with the conservative demagoguery, or the conservative, not demagoguery, the conservative worldview, right? Or corporate, you know, parenthesis, that too. But we're not going to throw the Jew posting accusations at her right away, you know. We don't necessarily need to claim that I don't think she's right there claiming that this is like the Jews pushing a narrative or like an agenda right now. Though well, actually, no, maybe. You might have a point. Nah, she might be they posting right now. That's true. I don't know. Let's watch. Let's find out. Let's find out ourselves.
Men, but they're also not appealing to women. Seriously, I don't know a single woman who actually enjoys this. Except maybe the bitter ones with
I mean, I know a few. Oh, I love this line. She's about to say, bitter women with no kids who are single and have cats and are sluts and are progressive feminists that don't shave their armpits like this show, and they're miserable and they hate their lives. I bet that's what she's about to say.
With like 15 cats. Who's to say?
I swear to God, I didn't pre-watch this. I swear to God, I didn't pre-watch this. These people are just so fucking stupid that I know how they think. I swear to God. I'm sorry. Their brains are just so fucking weak that my brain is capable of running an emulation of their entire brain while also with my own thought process and consciousness running as well. I am capable of running an emulation of Sydney Watson's mind in my own mind to predict what she is going to say. I just know these people too well. That is how weak-minded these people are, that I can literally emulate their own consciousness in my own brain without any issues for my own. I swear, I did not pre-watch. I did not fucking pre-watch. The cat thing, too. Specifically, the cat thing.
I don't own a single cat, and I enjoy it. Yet. Don't have any cats yet. So that's what I...
So yeah, basically, like half of Sydney Watson's content when she's like shitting on lefties or whatever, or like the lefty stereotype or straw man that she likes to make, is like dunk on the soy men, and then the other one is like dunk on the lonely, horrible stereotype of a harpy, screeching, feminist, lonely 15 cat woman. I'm sorry, I've watched a lot of these people's content. I know their arguments. They're very stupid. Sydney Watson has been saying this since like 2017, okay? This is nothing new from her, okay? Their arguments don't really change. They just kind of morph a little bit. And a new audiences that have kind of aged into politics come along that are too dumb and naive to know that they're being fed propaganda, and they believe this shit. So it's just the same kind of shit she was saying back when I was a little chuddy lad.
I want to talk about today why feminist Hollywood movies are uniquely terrible, why they don't appeal to anyone, especially women, and all the components that go into...
Especially women. They don't appeal to... Feminist Hollywood movies don't appeal to anyone, especially women. That's a pretty big jump, okay? You might want to choose your words a little more carefully with that one. Because if anyone enjoys those cringy-ass, like, Hollywood feminist movies, like that 2016 Ghostbuster movie, if anyone could derive any enjoyment from that fucking movie, it had to be women, okay? Only way.
Making them so deeply unwatchable. But before you once again board my hell gondola and we snuggle up together to watch some Marvel movie punishment, let's hear from today's sponsor, Established Titles. Did you—
God, Jesus Christ. They're such grifters, they're all in it for the money, it's so shameless. This is cultural appropriation, and I will not stand for it. You're Australian, okay? This is fucking racist. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? You're telling me blackface isn't allowed on YouTube, but this is? Absolutely despicable. Scott face. I'm sorry. Yeah, damn, she's doing Scott face. That's pretty fucked. Zan, that was out of pocket. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It was funny, though. It was funny. It's okay if it's funny.
Land. Like a little kingdom. And don't forget to use code Sydney for 10% off your entire purchase. If we take a trip back to the 80s and 90s, I think that it is fair to argue this was a great time for film and
All right. So much to tackle here, because Sydney Watson is very stupid and very disingenuous, so she's very good at taking a real problem or a real good point and then twisting it into the most deranged and most disgusting propaganda point possible. So, let's be clear, rose-tinted glasses and nostalgia no doubt play a massive, massive part in how we look back at older movies and their quality. But I don't think it's really debatable that some of the best movies of all time came out not within the last couple decades. Can we all agree on that? Like, Back to the Future? Holy fuck. A perfect trilogy. I don't really... It's pretty hard to say, like obviously Lord of the Rings... I think the last best, like, cinematic masterpiece that we got was Lord of the Rings, and that was 2003 was the last time we got a Lord of the Rings movie. That was, you know, that was when Return of the King came out. So, maybe 2004? I think it was 2003, actually. So with that said, like, it does feel like it's been a long time since a fantastic movie has come out. There's been good movies. There's been great movies, even. But doesn't it feel like it's been a long time since a real movie came out? You know what I mean? Like, just a real movie that just felt like a fucking movie. Like old movies did. There's a real point to be made there. And do you want to know what the issue with that is? Well, it's not anything that you would ever hear Sydney Watson talking about, because Sydney Watson doesn't actually genuinely care about this problem. She's using it for political gain. But, Hot Ones, why movies are bad. There was a really good clip from a Hot Ones interview about, like, I think it was Hot Ones. And it was like, why don't you like movies that are coming out now? Or something along those lines. It was something like that. Alright, I found it. Here it is. So, if you actually feel like movies nowadays just aren't as good as they used to be, like, there's just something about it. Like, you can't really put your tongue on it. Or it's on the tip of your tongue. You can't really put your finger on it. But there's just something about movies nowadays. It just doesn't feel like movies are as good anymore. They just don't feel right. This is a interview that Matt Damon did on Hot Ones, the Hot Wing interview show. The point is pretty straightforward of that interview show. But this is him explaining why they don't make movies like they used to. It's a very good clip. Now, obviously, Sydney Watson doesn't care about this, but I do, so I'm going to play the clip. Oh, Jesus. Hey, XQC, what's up? You gambling? Anyway, so basically, the point of that interview was that the death of the DVD basically forced big movie studios to focus on making movies that upon release in theaters would just blow up. They would be endgame tiers, close to endgame tiers they could possibly get. Massive box office sales is what was necessary. And now streaming kinda probably helps with like residuals, but regardless, if a movie doesn't have enough of a following in its genre already, and it's a whole new like franchise and all of that, and you're trying to start like to make like a passion project of a movie that's going to have a cult following that maybe you would really like. It's your movie, a movie for you, but it's only for you and maybe like a few 100,000 other people on Earth, you know, over the next like 100 years or whatever, however long the movie exists. That's not going to be worth a lot of money up front, but it's still a good movie that could have existed, but now it can't because of the way that the movie making model has changed due to the phasing out of DVD. Obviously, like, she's just gonna like show a bunch of clips of like what's the name of the movie? The movie she's showing right now is the one where Arnold Schwarzenegger has to hunt down all of his his ex special forces buddies, and then one of his ex special forces buddies, Citizen Kane, is that it? No. One of his ex special forces buddies betrays him. It's been so long since I've seen this movie. Oh my god. Yeah, it's like a super action-packed stereotypical macho man. Like it's it's like pretty obvious like what kind of movie it is and why specifically Sydney Watson says this is when Hollywood was good. It's not so much about no. It's he's an ex special forces guy trying to rescue his daughter from terrorists who are working with his ex, one of his ex special forces partners that like betrayed him. And it's like a big twist. Sorry, I kind of sort of spoiled the movie. I apologize.
Entertainment. Storylines feel authentic, the characters are memorable, and the writing is still so...
Die Hard 2? I wonder what through line there is in these classic movies she's giving examples of that she likes.
So quotable today. And most importantly...
Actually, no, you wouldn't like this movie nowadays. If they made this movie today, you would not like it. This is the one where Indiana Jones punches the Nazi, right? No shot she'd be okay with this movie coming out today. If you had old-ass fucking Indiana Jones punch out a Nazi in 2022, the conservatives would tout it as woke propaganda encouraging liberals to attack conservatives because they think they're Nazis. That's what they would do if it came out today. 100%. 100%. If this movie came out today and that scene happened, they would claim that it was political propaganda encouraging people to attack conservatives. How can you say it's good to punch Nazis when Nazi has become such a meaningless word nowadays? I heard that was a really popular one back in 2016. People would be like, you can't say punching Nazis is okay. Nazi has lost all meaning. That'll just mean anyone can punch anyone. And it's like, what? What kind of argument is that? God, 2016 was a hell of a time. I'm so glad we're going back. Well, not so glad. I'm kind of glad we're going back. There's some upsides to it.
Writers weren't focused on forced diversity or writing films with the sole purpose of pushing wokeism and other social narratives.
Chat, our children might actually grow up with the word wokeism being something that they're taught as being a real word. It's going to be in the dictionary, wokeism. And it's literally just going to be whenever minorities exist in media. Our children? Oh, think of the children. Oh, think of the children.
Good films did well. We didn't pathologize when they didn't. And during this time period, plenty of great films and shows with female leads captured people's attention.
You would never be okay with these coming out today.
Nope.
You don't get to use the Sarah Connor example. Sorry, you guys fucked yourselves over on that one.
People's attention. Terminator.
Nope. When these people lost their fucking minds over that new Terminator movie and Linda Hamilton, and it being like Linda Hamilton literally just doing more Sarah Connor shit, they lost their fucking shit when they literally had her doing the same shit she did before, just as an older woman in the newer movies. I want to make it very clear, by the way, there was a very, very good, just to debunk Sydney Watson, because she's lying out of her ass right now. She is legitimately lying out of her fucking ass. It's not that there was anything inherently different about the way that these movies framed empowering women in particular. It particularly it has to do with the culture war that exists during the time that it's released. At least that's how it is for a lot of the people watching. Here, let me scroll down to the thread. Damn, I can't find the tweet. I know I liked it on Twitter and it's somewhere around here. Anyway, I'll basically summarize the tweet. Basically, it was somebody talking about one time he had a discussion with a friend of his who is a conservative. And they talked about, like, the woke media that the conservative friend didn't like. And you know, they brought up the examples of, like, old classic, like, you know, Sarah Connor, Ellen Ripley from Alien and all that. Like, all the classic examples, right? And the point that the conservative friend made was that even if these movies were released today, it would still be political and it would still be a woke agenda, because back then there was no culture war. And so this content was released, at least in their minds, in a complete political vacuum. There are no political connotations whatsoever to any of the decisions made when Terminator was made. It is not reflective at all of the time in which it was made. No political motivations at all, because they saw it back when they were a kid, before they had the mind to think with, like, a critical political eye when looking at media. To them, politics didn't exist before they got involved in it. So this is not political, and that's not an issue to a lot of them. Now, I'm not saying that's the issue for Sydney Watson. Sydney Watson is a white nationalist and has a very, very fucking abhorrent agenda to push. However, her fans, not all of them are literally ontologically evil. A lot of them are, well, they feel just that way. They feel like things that were made when they were younger, before they were born, were completely apolitical, and that this is not political, but if it was done today, then it would be, just because of the climate it's made in, and because they believe it must have some woke intentions now, as some part of a scheme, or some kind of, like, you know, conspiracy theory.
With Sarah Connor, Ellen Ripley in Aliens, Princess Leia in Star Wars. There are tons of these examples. Some of which you won't agree with, but I personally enjoy Lilu from The Fifth Element because, I don't know, I
Just go watch the Born Sexy Yesterday video.
like that she's feminine and emotional while also being like this weird light creature who will save the planet. And let's be real, we all collectively enjoyed her bandage outfit. You aren't lying.
Sydney, just come out. Please, Sydney. Please, it's time to come out. If you stay in the closet any longer, you're going to be finding your Christmas presents in there.
To me. You're lying to yourself. But these female leads are a far cry from what feminist Hollywood is giving us today, in an effort to place women in what have—
By the way, I would totally believe it. I totally believe it, okay? If Sydney Watson is like bi or gay, I totally believe it, all right? I would totally believe it, because nobody can put this much time and energy into hating gay people, minorities, and all that, unless there's some internalized hatred going on, and they're trying to overcompensate and project, okay? We've all seen the extremely homophobic Christian figures that are like, oh, the gays are evil, the gays are horrible, the gays are awful, and then behind the scenes, someone turns on their iPhone and catches them giving the old... You guys know. Nobody can dedicate so much of their time and energy to hating people for aspects of themselves that are unchangeable, that they were just, you know, like their sexuality, their gender identity, or their, like, their gender dysphoria, I should say, or their, you know, their race, etc. Like, just things that, like, don't really matter on their own to a person's character, and are, at least until you have the ability to, like, access medical treatment, or, like, the social case of gender, it's different, but regardless, like, unchangeable, right? Like, nobody dedicates that much energy unless there's something going on. Immutable traits. Thank you, Link Vatican. That was the word I was looking for. Thank you so much. There's something there. There has to be, right? I genuinely don't believe anyone can care enough to hate a group of people without there being something more there than just political disagreement. Because so often it ends up being more than just political disagreement, doesn't it? Ain't that curious?
aren't lying to me. You're lying to yourself. But these female leads are a far...
Sydney. Hold up. Wait, let's go back. Hold on. What was happening here?
She's feminine and emotional while also being like this weird light creature who will save the planet. And let's be real, we all collectively enjoyed her bandage outfit. You aren't lying to me. You're lying to yourself. But
You are lying to yourself, Sydney Watson. Please, start telling yourself the truth. Bro, that was the biggest self-report I've ever seen in my life, dude. Oh my god, is she actually, like... Is she baiting? She's baiting it. Damn, okay. Listen, hey, big respect. I like girls too.
these female leads are a far cry from what feminist Hollywood is giving us today. In an effort to place women in what have been long considered male roles, feminist Hollywood overcorrected.
What? You realize you're showing an image of the live-action Mulan movie, and the original Mulan is story-wise about the same, and is from the fucking 90s, right? And was literally what you would consider feminist propaganda today. But just because they made like a live action, this actually, you know what? The Mulan movie is actually a perfect example of how these people push their propaganda. You see, the classic original animated Mulan movie on its own was made a long time ago in that political vacuum that these people think that older stuff exists in because it was before 2016 and the culture war and all that. But because they released a remake of it, and it was bad for other like non-political reasons, that gives them an excuse to attack it and thus the original premise of the movie and its messaging by proxy without attacking the beloved original movie in the first place. A very, very clever strategy. Because, you know, if you're a conservative figure and you try to claim this classic beloved piece of media that everybody grew up with is leftist propaganda, then you're gonna get fucking ratioed. The right is only as successful as it is because it's very, very good at lying to people.
Giving us a series of unlikable, unrelatable, unrealistic, strong female leads.
I need you to fix his suit.
The suit is literal perfection.
It will be. When it fits a woman.
It's a no. That's gonna be a no for...
Like, to be clear, that shit's fucking cringe. But the only people who actually care about this shit are people who are dedicating unhealthy amounts of time to hating things that don't affect them. It doesn't affect you. This isn't like harming society. There are, as Sydney Watson says, the pink-haired 15 cats, no boyfriend, lonely, no children, whatever the fuck, lefty women that Sydney Watson parodied earlier. Now they enjoy that shit. Like, I remember a time when the right was arguing against the left, claiming, why can't you just let content that isn't racially diverse exist? Why can't you just leave it alone and let The Witcher 3 exist as it is? Why do you have to claim everything has to be woke now? Make your own games, make your own movies, make your own media. Well, turns out it wasn't them. There was something else they had an issue with. It wasn't who was making what.
For me. Okay, thank you for your input, Walmart Robin. The trouble is, they've done this over and over and over, and...
I disagree, Zanby, to each their own. Hold on, did that line not make you cringe, that it'll be perfect once it fits a woman line? Bro, that was a cringe line. I'm sorry, but that was a cringe line. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Talk about The Little Mermaid? I will later, don't you worry. We're probably going to wrap up this segment soon, because there's not much more she has of value to say, I imagine.
And have clearly learned nothing. The box office doesn't lie, even if Screen Rant does. Now, the most obvious starting point for this entire...
By the way, these conservatives have this, conspiracy theory that the woke movies pushed out by Disney and whatnot are actually going broke and not making any money, and that Screen Rant is a YouTube channel that just does like Easter egg breakdowns of shows and movies and stuff like that. And they're doing Easter egg breakdowns of She-Hulk and of the Lord of the Rings show. And the conservatives are mad and mass disliking and hate bombing it because they don't like that. They don't like that a Easter egg TV show breakdown channel like what you miss type videos is covering a show they don't like. And that's what she's calling out right there. Unironically fucking baby-brained obsessive behavior. Literally obsessive.
Prior discussion is that these modern feminist films fail because of sexism. One article I found thinks that Captain Marvel was criticized.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, if Captain Marvel was released, like, in 2010, I don't think it would have gotten as much shit as it did. In fact, Captain Marvel was about the most standard 5 out of 10 by the standard of Marvel movie as it gets. Like, Captain Marvel was extraordinary because it was the most bland, by the numbers Marvel movie you could imagine. It was like the can't fucking fail, but can't really, like, you know, break any new ground, all reliable formula with that movie. Basically no different than any other just general Marvel movie, except for the really standout ones, right? It's interesting to me, though, that people had such a particular hate for Captain Marvel. In fact, I actually think this is relevant right now because I saw a post recently. Obviously, Brie Larson has been getting unbelievable amounts of harassment. For those of you guys that don't know, Brie Larson is the actress who plays Captain Marvel. And she's been getting like a shit ton of harassment ever since she was announced as the actress playing her because she's been publicly like progressive before. But there was a post. Anyway, they asked her, like, would you be willing to come back as Captain Marvel? And she was like, does anybody want me to? Like, I don't know. It was just kind of sad, you know? It was just sort of a one-off comment, like, when she was, like, walking by. Because, like, yeah, like, her social media has probably gotten fucking dive-bombed with harassment. Who was it? Yeah, Geeks and Gamers, who made over 500 videos on Brie Larson. And then The Quartering made at least 100, I think, on Brie Larson at this point. And, I mean, that's not even getting into the rest of YouTube. And then, of course, like, the crazy people. Yeah, like, last time I checked was back in 2020, and Geeks and Gamers had made over 400 videos on Brie Larson, I believe, back then. We scrolled, like, several pages through YouTube of just Geeks and Gamers videos about Brie Larson or Captain Marvel. The Quarterings is similar, but more spread out and not as numerous. Yeah. Because she dared to be a somewhat outspoken, like, feminist in Hollywood and, like, play this character that, frankly, so many people... Like, I'm not defending Captain Marvel because I'd rather eat a fucking brick right now than rewatch it because there's just, like, there's no reason for me to rewatch it. Like, I haven't forgotten what happens enough for me to be curious, like, oh, what... You know, I haven't watched Captain Marvel in like 15 years. What happened to that movie again? I'll rewatch it along with the rest of my Marvel MCU binge. Like, maybe if that'll happen, but like besides that, I don't plan to rewatch this movie, okay? So I don't care to defend it, but so many people miss the point that for the first half of the movie or so, maybe first 2/3 of the movie, Captain Marvel is a villain. The scenes in which they take out of context where they're like, look at what a bitch Captain Marvel is. How are we supposed to like this character? It's like, she starts the movie out as a villain. She's working for, like, space Nazis. And she's, like, a mentally ill... effectively mentally ill. She had all, like, her emotions, like, sapped out of her and all that. Like, with some sort of inhibitor thing. And, like, brainwashed, cold, like genocidal... Like... She was a bad guy for the first part of the movie. Her personality changes towards the end when she becomes a good guy. Like, they really missed a lot of the point. She was the new Anita Sarkeesian. They needed someone to hate. It really is a matter of woman behaving in a certain way that would otherwise be somewhat acceptable or passable for a man to behave, and it's a problem. You guys ever heard the term acceptable asshole? I've rarely ever seen a case where men were okay with a woman being an acceptable asshole. There is no such thing as to men as a woman who is an acceptable asshole. A woman, like, men can be an acceptable asshole, women cannot be. When women try to be, it comes off as to misogynistic men as being bitchy. And yeah, that is the product of sort of a misogynistic bias.
sized because men are man babies who don't want to see a woman headlining a Marvel movie.
I mean, a lot of them are. Not men are man babies. That's not what the article said. The ones that were sending death threats and making hundreds of videos on Brie Larson are. Obviously, Sydney Watson doesn't acknowledge reality in her videos, but still, it's my job to remind you.
Reality, Brie Larson is just like super unlikable on and off screen. And if the objective—
Oh, I forgot. Okay, this is a really good clip. I remember this one because we covered it. This clip is from an interview in which all the conservatives did what's it called? Body language analysis to see, like, they used body language analysis to determine that Chris Hemsworth and Don Cheadle are both very uncomfortable in the presence of Brie Larson right here. They're very uncomfortable right now. They can't even stand to be around her. You can tell by their body language. See here, let me get rid of my camera for a second. You can see here that his eyes are looking at her. He's really freaked out by being near her, and he's not even smiling. Look at that. I'm not even kidding. There were Chud channels, Geeks and Gamers, one of them, The Quartering 2, analyzing these interview clips, saying, not even the actors like Brie Larson. Look at the body language in this interview. God, 2019 was a time.
Was to embody an effortlessly badass woman that men love and women want to be, well, that wasn't achieved whatsoever.
I have nothing to prove to you.
I do all my stunts.
I did my stunts because
Sydney. Now hold on for a moment, though. You forgot one critical thing. She's hot, though.
I thought that that's what everyone did.
I did my stunts because I thought that that's what everyone did.
You got Tom Cruise over here?
No, I want to be the first me.
Wait, was that supposed to be, like, debunking that she did her own stunts? Because she had, like, wires on? You realize in this scene she falls, like, 30 feet and, like, breaks her shoulder, right? Dog, they should... Yeah. Bro, why didn't she just fall 30 feet and break her shoulder for real, dude? What do you mean? She'd do her own stunt. She didn't actually fall from 30 feet. Like, what do you mean? They use wires for when she fell 30 feet. What do you mean? Bro, it's a Marvel movie. I'm surprised they didn't do this with a fucking green screen with her hanging like 3 feet off the ground.
I did my stunts because I thought that that's what everyone did.
You got Tom Cruise over here?
No, I want to be the first me, not the next Tom Cruise. Thank you very much.
Wow.
For the record, this is Tom Cruise.
But once again, on a line, it seems. Wait, what? Okay, I'm just gonna play this part because the reach is so ridiculous that only somebody who is as deranged about Brie Larson being the literal boogeyman coming to inject feminism into everything that you love should be able to tell this is fucking stupid.
Thought that that's what everyone did.
You got Tom Cruise over here?
No, I want to be the first me, not the next Tom Cruise. Thank you very much.
Wow.
For the record, this is Tom Cruise doing his own stunts. What leftists and feminists often attribute to sexism could be more accurately summarized by the fact that film and TV today—
You see, what leftists actually attribute as leftism can actually be, or as sexism, is actually just old TV reflecting reality, because leftists want to change the real world and make it fit their narrow worldview of liberal hegemony. And so when good art is made that actually reflects the real world and triggers them, they get triggered and they want to destroy it and cancel it. Let's see if I'm right.
today just isn't really all that good, and having female leads doesn't change that. If anything, with the way most of them are written, it makes it worse. And there are a few reasons for this. For starters, most of these characters are female for the sake of it. When they're gender swapped—
Do you remember, I think it was Ellen Ripley was written completely gender neutral in the script initially. Like when they wrote the script for Alien, and they were like, for the main character, they were like, woman or man, let's just write the script gender neutrally. With just the name Ripley. You know, it could last name. Refer to the main character by last name, and it could be a woman or a man when we go to the casting, and they just hired whoever was the best actor, right? And actually, There's some funny behind the scenes about the filming of Alien that I think if I talked about on stream I would get canceled, but who knows about? No, I can't talk about this. Nah, it's too much. It's too much of a meme. Who knows about the Sigourney Weaver Bush story when filming Alien? Who I think it was James Cameron that told it. Sigourney Weaver wanted to do nude scenes in Alien. She was like, nah, I'm fine with that. Yeah, sure. Titties out. Yeah, let's go. Who cares? And everyone was like, yeah, let's go. Everyone who was making the movie was like, yeah, let's go. But there was a twist. There was a twist. When the day came to film that scene where I think it's the scene where she's getting out of the cryopod, and in the movie she's wearing like underwear, but in the original like shot for it she was naked. They were like, Mrs. Weaver, could you maybe shave down there before we do the scene? You just it's it's looking a little bit unkempt, and she was like, no, I will not shave my bush. And they're like, could you maybe do that, please? Like, and she's like, no, I won't. And then James Cameron was like, fuck, all right, get back in the underwear then. And so they had her in the underwear and stuff, and they decided not to and they ended up airbrushing. This is the funny part, is James Cameron complained about having to CGI airbrush with like 1980s technology her bush, because you could still kind of see it through her underwear in the final product. Dude, absolute queen shit. She literally just said no. Anyway, with that said, I made this point earlier. For people like Sydney Watson and other conservative demagogues like this, if you want to be a minority, a woman, brown, basically as POC, we'll say, just to be as broad as possible and shorten the list, because I don't want to have to go down every single possible ethnicity and nationality, any like non-straight sexuality or non-cisgender gender identity, any of these things. If you are any of these things, you have to have a reason to exist, because normal, a like default template for a character in any story is straight, white, cisgender man. Unless they're a love interest, in which case they're usually probably like a straight, white, cisgender woman, right? Usually that's the case. And usually those normative gender roles are upheld. Almost always. And just about like the vast majority of media. Are you a man or political, right? Yeah, so whenever you bring in somebody who is not part of that group, you have to have a reason to exist. Because, you're either a man or political, a white or political, straight or political, cisgender or political. That's all there is. That's all there is to these people. You have to justify your existence from a story perspective to be a minority and exist in media. It's a double standard. It is. It's a Squad W moment, if you will.
In well-known series and franchises, the truth is there isn't any actual need for them. Think Star Wars or the female Doctor Who.
See? Why are there women in media? It's not necessary. The story doesn't require that the main character be a woman, so why should they be a woman? Because the default is men in their minds. That is the only logical conclusion I can really draw.
You see, I care so little about these female leads, I can't even remember their names. Girl with shiny light stick who has a disappointing romance arc?
Okay. She shares the same name as every other Doctor. The Doctor. Then a number. She's the 13th Doctor, right? Listen, guys, I'm gonna hit you with the best take, okay? Matt Smith was and will always be the best Doctor, okay? He's my favorite. He was the first Doctor that I ever saw when I watched Doctor Who for the first time. And frankly, I'm glad that he was, because even after seeing every other Doctor, I still believe that he was the best one. Who the fuck is Matt Smith? He was in Morbius, and he's in House of the Dragon as well. Peter Capaldi was cool too. I liked him. I haven't seen much of the 13th Doctor, but from what I've heard, she's not that great.
Blonde female character absolutely no one asked for? On a serious note, you guys...
Nobody asked for women. Nobody asked for women in this story. Nobody asked for a main character to be a woman. Why would you do that? No one was asking for this. God. So, I guess the message of this video is, if you're watching right now, if you're not a cis straight white man and you want to see representation in media, then you better have a reason to exist in that media. I don't know. It's like so bizarre. I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's very, very telling when you really dig down to the thought process that she's using to reach this conclusion. As I said, though, I can run an emulation of this woman's brain inside my own brain without hindering my own. So, there's not much going on. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, whether you're watching live or after the fact. Also consider following my social medias, all linked down below, no matter where you're watching. And of course, if you want to support my content and see more from me, you can always hit that like button. It demonstrably helps my channel, as well as subscribing and ringing the bell icon to turn on all notifications. Finally, if you've got the money for it and you want to support me financially directly, you can always do so very easily and very simply by donating, gifting a sub, or just subbing for yourself over on my website, xanderhall.com/live. And of course, you can go to my YouTube. You can also support me on YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, and Patreon. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and have a good one.